Hello, welcome to our show. My show is entitled Crooked Doctors, and I'm part of Whistleblower Productions. We're live every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Time Warner Cable Channel 34. It's a new show, so I'm going to give you a few prompts. You can call us if you like. We're at 212-245-7273. That's 212-245-7273. Also, you can, if you're not by a TV in Manhattan, we're video streaming live on the internet, and you can go to Manhattan Neighborhood Network website. On the right-hand side, you can click on Watch MNN1 Channel Live. So that's the community network. We're Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and you can click on the Watch MNN Channel 1 Live, and you can watch live video streaming on the internet. And if you happen to have a question, you can call me. My name is Lidya Radin. I'm a whistleblower, and I turned in crooked doctors, crooked judges, crooked police officers. I have more crime and corruption than I know what to do with. If you'd like to ask me a question, I'm at 212-245-7273. If we run out of time and you don't get a chance to give us a phone call, you can always email us at our email address, which is CrookedDoctors, that's one word, CrookedDoctors@yahoo.com. We also have videos on YouTube. I'm putting up videos on YouTube, and you can go to YouTube and type in Crooked Doctors, one word, and view our videos. So the point of my program as part of Whistleblower Productions is to literally save lives, including my own. Last week's show, in broad brushstrokes, I tried to give a few highlights of the nightmare that I've lived through since I became a student at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. I was looking at their website last night as I was thinking about this show, and I saw their very good PR about, students were saying why they had gone there and why they were very happy with their education. This place was a nightmare. These people stalked me through life, ultimately participated in an organized criminal conspiracy that led to a physical assault on me in 2008, left me with serious bodily injury. And in a criminal prosecution for that assault, a judge has to ask, what's the worst that could have happened to Miss Radin? The worst that could have happened to me is paralysis or death. So you need to know who these people are and how to protect yourself from these people, because they almost murdered me. Now, today's show, what we're going to go through is the highlights of today's show is going to be how Detective Cologne from the 34th Precinct conspired with Judge Edward J. McLaughlin to lie and illegally convict and illegally incarcerate me. Now, before we go through those details, I'd like to thank a few people. And the first group of people I'd like to thank are the very helpful people here at Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So what I'm going to do is give a little shout out to, I'd like to thank Manhattan Neighborhood Network. These are the very kind folks that are helping me put on my show. And what you can do is, if you'd like to see us, let me just enlarge this a little bit for you. If you'd like to watch us streaming live on the internet, you can just go to Manhattan Neighborhood website, and right here, just click on Watch M&M Live, and you'll hit play, and you can watch our channels streaming live on the internet. I'd also like to say thank you to the Nassau County Civic Association. The Nassau County Civic Association are composed of people of good conscience who try to help whistleblowers like me. This is their website. They have all kinds of issues that they're involved with. Their mission is to promote open, honest, and moral government that's responsive to the needs of Nassau County and others like me, and to encourage public participation and awareness. They understand about crime and corruption. The good people that I met at the Nassau County Civic Association had their own experiences with crime and corruption. They were very supportive. They will help you make proper complaints. They help me make proper complaints, and they will give public shows of support. So I wanted to say thank you to the Nassau County Civic Association. And what's truly wonderful about these folks is that you don't have to agree with them on every issue. There are a number of issues that I disagree with the Nassau County Civic Association, but in my struggle for justice and in my efforts to help other whistleblowers like me, they concentrate on my issues and what kinds of things they can do to provide support and assistance. And you don't have to agree with them on every issue. You can have some lively debate with them, but they're wonderful people. They have all kinds of experience with crime and corruption. You don't have to explain it to them. One meeting I went to, there was one gentleman who talked to me, and he was fighting crime and corruption. He understood everything that I was going through. He actually got out of a hospital bed with a concussion to go out and fight for truth and justice and to vindicate himself. There was another gentleman who spent all kinds of money and time fighting crime and corruption. I did not have to explain anything to these folks. Some had direct experiences with the scams that I was subjected to. So thank you, Nassau County Civic Association. And let's come back to me. I also wanted to thank Mayor Healy. Mayor Healy is the mayor of Jersey City. Jersey City is the second largest town in the second largest city in the state of New Jersey. I spoke to Mayor Healy personally this past week, just before a city council meeting. I've been going to city council meetings pretty regularly, and I get 5 minutes to speak. Here's the best piece of information that I discovered that activists can use. I had been shut out of the courts, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the crime and corruption that was used and the propaganda techniques, the dishonest, deceptive practices that were used against me in the courts. But one thing I learned was that anyone can go to any city council meeting and get 5 minutes to speak. So I started going to the city council meetings at Jersey City and putting the facts on the record. And apparently a whole lot of people don't like those facts. So apparently I've been edited out. So I'm going to start bringing my own video equipment to the Jersey City Council meetings, taping them and putting them up on the internet. And I have some local people who understand what I've been through because they were crime victims themselves and had to fight back. And unfortunately also had to fight a system that was part of the crime and corruption. So they're checking for me. In fact, one organization that I had been a member of was Women Organized Against Rape in Philadelphia. And that organization was started by a woman who unfortunately was a crime victim and found that the law enforcement of the justice system didn't help her. So she started a volunteer organization, and we had discussed this before I went to medical school. So there are people who unfortunately were crime victims and discovered, as I discovered, that the criminal justice system doesn't help you, it just hurts you some more. And in that woman's case, she was an artist, and she referred to She had been raped, unfortunately, and she referred to her experiences with the criminal justice system. These are supposed to be people who protect you from the criminals. She referred to that experience as a second rape. So she started Women Organized Against Rape to provide the kind of support and assistance that crime victims needed, and to change the system to make it fairer to crime victims. Now, I've been victimized by the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University, and next week, just to provide some more insight and some fair and balance, there is a gentleman named Gilbert James. He's a graduate of Yeshiva University, and he's going to be my guest next Friday. And he told me to use his name so that he would be locked in and be sure to be my guest next week. And he has some interesting things to say about Yeshiva University that I'm sure you'll want to hear that also. Now, the way this is going to go is, we're going to review what we did last week, and then I'm going to introduce some new information. So here's what you know from last week. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to, here's what you know from last week. Last week I did some broad brushstrokes of the nightmare that my life has been since I attended the Albert Einstein College of Yeshiva University, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. Then they were known as ACOM. Now they're known as Einstein. So we're just going to call them Einstein Medical School, or Einstein for short. I was an honors graduate of Columbia University. Had the other victims that I discovered gone forward into the public forum and shared this information, had my pre-med advisor told me, I had offers to go to 3 medical schools. I did not have to attend Einstein Medical School. I could have gone to 2 other medical schools. I'd be a doctor today instead of fighting false criminal charges. This is life-saving information because, again, these people orchestrated a physical assault on me that left me with serious bodily injury, could have left me paralyzed or dead. These people are dangerous, and you need to know about them, who they are and how to avoid them. And we need criminal prosecution. I also had the great good fortune of, in the last 2-3 weeks, to have an encounter with District Attorney Vance. Personally shook his hand, and he promised me that when my attorney was ready, we should call him and he would have a meeting. And at that meeting, he would share with us what kinds of things he plans on doing about a police detective who lied to illegally convict and illegally incarcerate me. And I'm going to get into those details in this show in just a minute. Now, to review from last week. And let's go here. John Scarfone is Associate General Counsel at Yeshiva University. In 2006, I was named as a witness against him. And I'm going to make this really easy for everybody to understand. John Scarfone lied about me in federal court in 2006. So let's all read that lie. Okay, this is not rocket science, people. It's really simple. Here's what John Scarfone swore to in federal court. And I'm going to read this for you. In fact, Dr. Olson's anatomy course is the only class Miss Radin passed during her first year of medical school. Now, whoops, let's take a look at that. I'm victimized by my medical school. These people are psychopaths. They go into court and they swear on a stack of Bibles that, in fact, Todd Olson's anatomy class, I'm going to make this really big so everybody can see it. In fact, Todd Olson's anatomy class, in fact, Dr. Olson's anatomy class is the only class Miss Radin passed during her first year of medical school. Okay, everybody sees that, right? Now, does that make any kind of sense to you? Do you know who my witness pool is? I went to school with about 180 students in the first year class, about 180 students in the second year class, about 180 students in the third year class, about 180 students in the fourth year class. So that's about 200 students per class. 2, 4, 6, 8. 800 students all know that this is a lie. Okay, how can I prove? So, I mean, on its face, it's just ridiculous. Medical school starts in, you get there about August, medical school starts in September. So what John Scarfone, and I'll find a picture of Mr. Scarfone next week and throw it up here so we can all look at it. Also, there are other principals at Yeshiva University like Richard Joel, the president of Yeshiva University, who sits on the board of overseers of my medical school. I had experience with Richard Joel, which I will recount here. So what you need to know is that the president of Yeshiva University knows that this is going on because I spoke to him about it personally before bogus, false criminal charges were pressed against me to silence me. So what we've got here is John Scarfone, Associate General Counsel at Yeshiva University, is running around saying that when I enrolled in medical school, when I matriculated, when I became a full-time student during my first year, that I failed all my classes in September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. This is except for Dr. Olson's anatomy class. Now, does that make any kind of sense to anybody? No. I just keep failing class after class after class after class and nothing happens. If this were true, there would be a stack of paperwork. I would be at the promotions committee. The promotions committee is a committee of 20 to 30 doctors, PhDs, other kinds of people. It's their job to monitor the academic progress of students. For one reason, for your federal student loans. We're taking out federal student loans to pay for tuition at Yeshiva University, and they're responsible to have some sort of monitoring that you're making academic progress, because obviously the federal government is not making sure that students get these loans and then don't do anything. They're supposed to be engaged in some sort of academic activity, and they're supposed to be able to demonstrate academic progress. And we don't have to rely on these people because, they're a pack of liars, unfortunately. What we can do is we can go to, hey, I got something called performance evaluations. So let's look at my performance evaluations. Now remember, John Scarfone, Associate General Counsel, says that I failed all my classes as a first-year student except for Todd Olson's anatomy class. Now let me ask you something. If you're pre-med and you're deciding what medical school to go to, do you want to go to a school where they don't know what classes you took, when you took them, whether you passed or failed them or not, and you have to go through this kind of heroic effort to show that the Associate General Counsel, John Scarfone, this is a guy who gets like $300,000 a year, gets paid to lie in federal court, and you have to start producing your performance evaluations to show that this guy is a liar. Now, do you need to know any more than this to know that the Albert Einstein College of Medicine is a place to be avoided like the plague, because you do not want to go through what I went through. And I can also talk about, and you may be able to reach out to him and contact him. There's another student out there. My case was important because there were students who came after me who were referring to me, and they were building their case on my case. So it was important to the school's attorneys to get rid of me and discredit me for that reason, because I showed that I was the foundation I was the foundation on which other students were building their cases. And what I showed was that in other students' cases, it could not be argued that these were one-time events because other students were calling me and asking me to testify as a witness and to provide information and evidence to their attorneys. What I was demonstrating was that this was a pattern and practice at this school. Destroying the lives of innocent students is a pattern and practice at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. That's why I was important. That's what was being demonstrated with my case. So I was the foundation upon which other students, and we had organized ourselves together into a litigation group. I was the foundation, the rock on which other students were building their cases. So let's go back to John Scarfone. I'm named as a witness against John Scarfone in 2006, and he goes into court and he swears that I failed all my classes as a first-year student except for Todd Olson's anatomy class. You know, because Todd Olson is such a nice guy. Todd Olson is not such a nice guy. Todd Olson is a liar. And what we're going to go to right now is my performance evaluations from a class called ICM, or Introduction to Clinical Medicine. Let me just give you the big picture here, okay? Whoops. So this is my performance evaluation. I did a clinical selective at Hebrew Home for the Aged. And let me see if I can just go to make this a little bit easier for all you guys to see out there. Let's go to command. Okay. I'm going to make this even bigger, actually, so there's no doubt in anybody's mind. Whoops. We're just trying a couple different views just to see if I can get the best view for you guys to see. I'm not pleased with that, so let me get you a different view. Okay. Whoop. Okay, so while I play around with this a little bit, let me go back to my computer view for just a second. Okay. This is a performance evaluation from the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and I think it's a little fuzzy out there. I don't think you can see this as well. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay, let's put that down. Okay, so we're in a different view. Thank you so much for your patience and understanding. Sometimes we have these little technical glitches. There's information I'm trying to present to you as easily and efficiently as possible. So let's go back to the computer view, and we're going to look at, this is a performance evaluation from there we go. Okay, and we have liftoff. Okay, this is a performance evaluation from Introduction to Clinical Medicine. And this is the Albert Einstein. Let's make it really big so nobody's going to miss it now, right? Okay, so here we are, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. This is my Introduction to Clinical Medicine, my faculty evaluation of the student, okay? And let me go out a little bit. I did a clinical selective at the Hebrew Home for the Aged. Let me go out a little bit more. Okay, so, and this column says outstanding. This is my performance evaluation, so let's look at that. There you go. There's my name, Lidya Radin. Okay, let me, here we go. Outstanding. Okay, the boxes for outstanding are checked. All right, let me go out a little bit more, and I'm going to read to you a little bit. So what are they saying here? Here's the criteria on which I'm being judged. Acquisition of medical knowledge, satisfactory. Identification of psychosocial issues when we interact with the patient, outstanding. My interpersonal relationship with patients, peers, preceptors, those are the other doctors that you work for. My class attendance, all of this good stuff, right? Okay, so clearly, with one example, I did not fail Introduction to Clinical Medicine. Let's get another example. Okay, so let's get another example where we're looking at my performance evaluations from my first year in medical school. And yes, I am beating you over the head with it because the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had this evidence in their hands a year before trial. So I had to face false criminal charges in 2009. In 2009 was when I was arrested and charged. A year later, in 2010, we went to trial. But before we went to trial, a year before, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had these performance evaluations in their hands. And I gave them the information that said John Scarfone in 2006 went into federal court and lied about me. Now it's 3 years later, he has a retaliatory motive, and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had these performance evaluations in their hands for an entire year. They tortured me with false criminal charges. I had to fight false criminal charges for an entire year before trial, and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office knew with absolute certainty that one of the complaining witnesses against me, John Scarfone, was a liar. Okay? Now, is that really great? This is Robert Morgenthal's District Attorney's Office. So a year before trial, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had evidence in its hands to know that John Scarfone was not a credible witness, but they persecuted me anyway with false criminal charges. So let's look at another example of the evidence that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had in its hands, but knowing that John Scarfone, a witness against me, had no credibility. This is an attorney who's paid to lie in court. Now, when an attorney goes into court and lies like this, he loses his license to practice law. I should not have to come on public access TV and explain this. Robert Morgenthau and Assistant District Attorney Alex Spiro know better. So does ADA Assistant District Attorney Michelle Bayer, who happens to be Alex Spiro's trial supervisor. Now, one question you should be asking is, why is this important to you out there in the viewing audience? Because I'm going to present evidence that shows, for example, that Detective Cologne conspired to illegally convict and illegally incarcerate me, and that Detective Cologne has no credibility. So what this means is, if you are out there and you are being prosecuted by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and Detective Cologne happens to be a witness in your case, or he happens to be the arresting officer in your case, or Detective Cologne is in any way involved in your case, guess what? He has no credibility, and I can help you beat those charges. There was a woman, for example, who served time at Rikers Island. She was convicted of drug charges, and I said this in the last show, and I'm going to say it again. She was guilty of the first drug buy. She was guilty of her second drug buy. She was guilty of the third drug buy. By the fourth time, she wasn't guilty. She had just become known to the police department. A cop saw her walking through a known drug neighborhood. I'm like, where aren't drugs present in New York? Wall Street has drugs. There's drugs all over Manhattan. But he had seen a police officer had seen this woman walk through a known drug area, and because she had a history, it was his word against hers that she had purchased drugs, and she was convicted on her history, even though there was no physical evidence, no drugs, no money exchange, no other witnesses, nothing. So when it's your word against Detective Cologne's word, you win, and Detective Cologne loses because Detective Cologne lied about me on the witness stand intentionally, and he has no credibility. Mayor Healy out in Jersey City should know exactly what I'm going through, because Mayor Healy was convicted of disorderly conduct. Mayor Healy was not guilty of any crime. He didn't wake up one morning with malice in his heart and decide to go out there and commit a crime. He got into a dispute because he was trying to help a woman, and an hour's he was trying to be helpful, and it turned into a dispute. My feeling is that disorderly conduct charge was just bogus. It was motivated by political reasons, and once he was convicted of a criminal charge, the hope was that they could oust him from office. That didn't happen. So Mayor Healy should be able to understand what I'm going through. I'm not guilty. I was convicted illegally and incarcerated illegally because someone like John Scarfone from Yeshiva University had a retaliatory motive and was paid to lie about me in court in 2006. And in 2009, he filed false criminal charges against me. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office had this evidence in their hands for an entire year. They tortured me for an entire year with false criminal charges before we went to trial, and they had the evidence to know that their complaining witnesses were not credible. So, going back to that evidence, here's another performance evaluation from Introduction to Clinical Medicine, a class I did not fail my first year in medical school. And I'm going to try to make this ridiculously large so that there's no doubt in anybody's mind. Whoops. Okay, this is, let's make it even larger. The Albert Einstein College of Medicine Introduction to Clinical Medicine Faculty Evaluation of the Student. Okay, here you go. You can't possibly miss this. The Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I'm the student, Lidya Radin. All right, let's go out a little bit. And these are my performance evaluations. Outstanding. Okay, let's see that we get that. Okay, outstanding, right? Make it even bigger so there's no doubt in anybody's mind that John Scarfone is a liar. Outstanding. Okay, let me go out a little bit. And yes, I am beating you over the head with it. I did not fail all my classes as a first-year student in medical school. John Scarfone lied. You don't need much more than this. On its face, nobody wants to go to a medical school where they purport to be so grossly incompetent. What is the best thing you can say? No pre-med wants to go to a medical school where they purport to be on its face so grossly incompetent that they don't know what classes you took, when you took them, or whether you passed or failed them or not. Because that is a core competency. If this organization is so grossly incompetent that they don't know what classes you took, when you took them, or whether you passed or failed or not, then the school needs to be shut down, because they've demonstrated irrefutably that they're so grossly incompetent that they don't have the core competency to run a school. Okay, so let's go back to my performance evaluation, and I'm going to read it to you. Okay, this is my performance evaluation from my professors. Oh, and I want to show you right here, this is, let me enlarge this a little bit more. This is Dr. Blau. When we go to ICM class, we see patients together. I do patient write-ups. Dr. Blau is a psychiatrist. He's been a psychiatrist for about 30 years. I believe he testified once as an expert witness in a custody trial. That's important because it's a litigation point for me. And here's what Dr. Blau has to say about me. Lidya Radin, with her intelligence, breadth of experience, incisive insight, and the ability to express herself, could easily dominate most discussions. But these strengths are used judiciously, and her participation stimulates and greatly furthers discussions. And he gives me a P+, or a high pass. Do you know any other person that has to go to these kind of extremes to defend themselves? Do you know anybody else who has to get a public access TV show and for an hour talk the Manhattan District Attorney's Office through the litigation points of how she's innocent and how this large university has a retaliatory motive because she was named as a witness in other students' cases? So again, my case came first, and other students were calling me and building their cases on mine because I'm the foundation. I'm the rock that builds their cases. And I was important in a timeline because I also bridged the gap to a case called the Dr. Garg case. Dr. Garg was a student who was railroaded out of medical school under the same horrific conditions that I was. Horrible things were said about him. The last time I spoke to him, or one of the last times I spoke to him, he was willing to talk to press. His attorneys also found another student that the school had lied about and said horrible things. So I was here, and I could go back in time to Dr. Garg and to another student who'd been railroaded that Dr. Garg's attorneys had identified. And students who came after me were building their cases on mine and the evidence that I was discovering. Now, I'm going to go back to my performance evaluations in ICM class, because we've gotten 2 of them so far. Let's go to 3. Okay, so here we are. This is my performance evaluation from Introduction to Clinical Medicine. Here we go. Okay, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Notice they don't say of Yeshiva University. They kind of hide that fact from you. So here we go. It's the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. This is my performance evaluation from Dr. Blau. And yes, I had to go to trial. And at trial, I had to get a stipulation from Dr. Blau. A stipulation means everybody agrees. My attorneys agree, I agree, the prosecutor agrees, the judge agrees. I had to get a stipulation, I had to get a subpoena, I had to get a stipulation from Dr. Blau that said she did not fail my course. And in effect, what he's stipulating to is John Scarfone lied. Do you know anybody else who has to be put through the mill like this? So, here we go. Oh, and by the way, if you do, please email me because I'd like to talk to that person. So we're going back to my performance evaluations from Dr. Blau. who I had to subpoena and have him stipulate in court. And Dr. Blau, you're a coward, because when John Scarfone lies like this, and when the other doctors and lawyers participate in this kind of lying to destroy the life of an innocent person, you should be on the phone with their licensing boards, having their licenses to practice revoked, because these people are dangerous to others. In Jersey City, they almost murdered me. So this is my performance evaluation from the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Introduction to Clinical Medicine, that's my name. And yes, they misspelled it. So let's go back to it again. And here we go, outstanding. Oh, let's focus in on that just so, there's no doubt in anybody's mind. Let's make sure it's clear enough for everybody out there to see it. Outstanding. Everybody reads the word outstanding, the box is checked. That's not indication that I failed the class. And this is happening in June of 1995. And let's just zoom out a little bit. You can see that these are your performance evaluation, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Introduction to Clinical Medicine. That's my name, Lidya Radin. This was when I was taking this with the first year class. Dr. Blau is my instructor. This is June 1995. Outstanding, high pass. And let's read what Dr. Blau has to say. Okay, he passes me. I don't quite make honors. Well, it looks like I got honors on the quizzes, but okay, let's see what Dr. Blau has to say. Okay, I'm going to enlarge this and read it for you. He gives me a P+, which is Dr. Blau gives me a P+ in the class, which is, there you go. He gives me a P+, which is like a high pass. So let's read what Dr. Blau has to say. Okay. Lidya Radin continued to astound us with her breadth of experience and detailed knowledge about so many varied subjects. We continue to believe she could fit perfectly wherever she set her mind, primary care physician or top academician. Okay? So, there we go. Now, what I'm willing to do, if you email us at our email address, that's CrookedDoctors@yahoo.com, I'm willing to email you these documents, and you can confirm them for yourself. Or better yet, you could go down to 100 Center Street and look at them, because they're part of the public record now, or at 60 Center Street, where I'm appealing my illegal criminal conviction, and look at these documents yourself. I'd be happy to meet anybody at either one of these locations and show them to you. In fact, pre-meds should be hooking up with me, and we should be having meetups. I will be public speaking to pre-meds. 10 questions I wish I asked when I was applying to medical school. But you can email me or us. We're at Whistleblower Productions. You can email me at CrookedDoctors@yahoo.com, and I'll email you these documents if you like. The important point here is I did not fail every class except for Todd Olson's anatomy class as a first-year medical student. John Scarfone is a liar, and you don't need any more than this to know that. I'm going to present you through this program with example after example after example. of the lies that this school told about me, and how judges and police and attorneys and other doctors conspired in crimes against me. So, I think it's pretty well settled that John Scarfone, a complaining witness against me, is a liar. And this was a nice little tutorial for my attorney as he's writing my appeal. So I'm going to ask him to copy and paste from this program and to make my appeal writing easier. And what I'd like to do now is show you a little bit about how Detective Cologne lied and Judge Edward J. McLaughlin conspired in those lies. So, I'm going to go back here and we're going to look at this document, and this document is page 39 of my criminal trial transcript. As I'm being railroaded during criminal trial, I'm protesting to the judge. I'm protesting to Judge Edward J. McLaughlin, and I'm saying to him, I want to fire my attorney, Michael J. Redenberg, because he's not defending me. He is not questioning witnesses. He's not presenting evidence that vindicates me, and the judge won't do it. So in this single page, in a single sentence, you can see that the judge conspired. And I'm going to show you example after example after example. So let me go back to this. And there I am being railroaded. And I say to the judge, this is page 39 of my criminal trial transcript, which, oh, by the way, my criminal trial transcript is emailable, and I can email it to you. So if you'd like a copy of my criminal trial transcript, then you can use it. And remember, this is vitally important, life-saving information that I'm sharing with you on public access TV today. If Detective Cologne accuses you of a crime, in the example that I gave earlier, and it's your word against Detective Cologne's word, you win, and Detective Cologne loses, because Detective Cologne has no credibility. If you're in court with Judge Edward J. McLaughlin, and you would like a change of venue, or you would like the judge to recuse himself, you can build on the information that I'm sharing so that maybe you can get a judge who won't railroad you and blind himself deliberately, intentionally, willingly, knowfully, with malice, won't blind himself to the facts so that you will be illegally convicted and illegally incarcerated like I was. So this is vitally important, life-saving information. Let's look at page 39 of my criminal trial transcript. This is page 39. And I say to Judge McLaughlin, we're not done, because I reported this in 2005, and the judge, Judge Edward J. McLaughlin, says it doesn't matter a whit. Now, what is he referring to? So what I did is I put together a little timeline here, and just in a few facts, I'm going to do this a little quickly because we're running out of time. I had to sue the Albert Einstein College of Medicine because I was trying to get my hands on my records and I wanted to correct them. And I'm going to get into some of those details in later shows. And like I said, next week I'm going to have a guest and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Gilbert James is coming. He's a graduate of Yeshiva University. He has some insights into the school that I think you'll find interesting. But I had to go into court and sue the school, trying to get my hands on my records because my records have been falsified. In 2005, in May of 2005, Judge Patterson in the federal court made a wrong ruling. So, Judge Patterson in 2005 made a wrong ruling in federal court. In June of 2005, I discovered newly discovered evidence. Okay, newly discovered evidence gives me the ability to amend my federal complaint, and it gives me relief from final judgment. This is not a motion for reconsideration. This is a 60B4 motion. I have relief from final judgment because I have newly discovered evidence. Beyond that, decisions based on lies, decisions based on fraud don't stand. So I just want to give you the big picture before we get lost in any details. In May of 2005, in the federal courts, Judge Patterson made a wrong ruling. In June of 2005, I discovered intentionally falsified financial information. And here's all the things I did there's a whole bunch of stuff that I did from 2005 to 2009. In 2009, my school made false criminal charges against me because to shut me up. They did not want these details out there, okay? So basically, my complaints against my school came first in 2005, and 4 years later, they filed false criminal charges against me. So when Detective Cologne got up on the witness stand, and this is a mere 10 pages of my criminal trial transcript, which I'm going to be putting up on a website. So when Detective Cologne got up on the witness stand and said, I didn't take her complaint seriously because she had a retaliatory motive, did Detective Cologne check his brain cells at the door? My complaints against Yeshiva University came first. Okay, I have a police report from 2005. Then there were other students, remember there were other students who were contacting me. We organized up the evidence and the information, and we went to Congressman Weiner's office. And through Congressman Weiner's office, we presented this information to the Bronx District Attorney. Ultimately, the Bronx District Attorney's office, through Assistant District Attorney Lidya Tacoma, lied. And I'm going to tell you those lies in detail, and they're very simple to understand. They're simple to understand as the lie I just presented. John Scarfone went into federal court and lied, said I failed all my classes as a first-year student, and that wasn't true. It was very simple to understand that that wasn't true. So the lie that Lidya Tacoma, this is Assistant District Attorney Lidya Tacoma, in October of 2005, this is October of 2005, the Bronx District Attorney's Office wrote back to Congressman Weiner's office, and they lied. And I'm going to show you how they lied. In 2008, me and another crime victim went to the Manhattan District Attorney's office. Yeshiva University didn't file criminal charges against me till 2009. So here's all the stuff that I did 4 years before they filed false criminal charges against me. They have a retaliatory motive. I don't. Okay, my charges came first. In 2005, we explained things to the Bronx District Attorney's Office. They lied to cover up for the school. In 2006, me and other students and community activists went to Albany, and we sat down with the Higher Education Services Corporation, the state agency that's responsible for making sure what happened to us didn't happen. In 2007, I went to Congressman Miller's open public hearings in Washington. In 2008, me and another student victim went to talk to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and it wasn't until 2009 when there was momentum building and I was organizing a group and getting support for my case in 2009 when Yeshiva University wanted me to shut up because all of this stuff was going out on the internet. That's when they filed false criminal charges against me. Okay? So my charges came first in 2005. Yeshiva University retaliated by filing false criminal charges against me. And remember, there was another student here in 2006 that named me as a witness, so John Scarfone in 2009 had a retaliatory motive because in 2006, 3 years earlier, he had lied in federal court about me. Now, is this hard to understand? Because I think a 3-year-old can understand this. Now, after we went to the Bronx District Attorney's Office in October of 2005, Assistant District Attorney Linda Tacoma wrote to Congressman Weiner's office, and she lied. That lie is very simple to understand. And after that happened in October of 2005, in December of 2005, I went to the Jersey City Police Department, sat down with Sergeant James Sullivan. He agreed I was a crime victim in a federal student loan program. He was kind enough. This is how conscientious Sergeant James Sullivan is. He was so conscientious and so generous with his time, and that he actually went to the Jersey statutes and he photocopied criminal statutes that my school had violated, acting in an organized criminal conspiracy with Sallie Mae, the loan servicing company, and the Higher Education Services Corporation. This is the state guarantee agency whose job it was to make sure what happened to me didn't happen. And I paid that state agency money. So, once again, okay, yes, I am going to beat it into you. Once again, in 2005, we go to the Bronx District Attorney's Office through Congressman Weiner's office. Assistant District Attorney Linda Tacoma lied. I'm going to show you how she lied. It's very easy to understand. This was in October of 2005. In December of 2005, I go to Sergeant James Sullivan. I explain everything to him. He gives me a police report. We looked at that police report in the last episode, and we're just going to look at it very briefly again, because what I'd like to get to is to show you how the Bronx District Attorney's Office lied to Congressman Weiner's office. And I discussed these details most recently with Detective Ranigan at the 34th Precinct. And here's what he said to me. Linda Tacoma knows she screwed up. She didn't screw up. She told the lies that were put in her mouth by my medical school. Linda Tacoma is corrupt. So what's being referred to here is I'm protesting to the judge, and I'm saying, no, we're not done. This is the portion of my criminal trial. This is pages 30 to about 41. It's a mere 10 pages where Detective Colon is testifying, and he says that I'm annoying the school because I'm asking for my records and I need to correct my records. And as I explained to Detective Colon, my records have been falsified. And you could see that I'm dealing with dishonest individuals like John Scarfone, who's an attorney who went into federal court and lied about my academic performance. But my medical records have been falsified. My financial records have been falsified. And I'm protesting to Judge Edward J. McLaughlin. I'm saying, no, we're not done, because I reported this in 2005. And Judge McLaughlin says it doesn't matter a whit. Okay? Oh, it's good. The court. It doesn't matter a whit. Yes, it does. So, Detective Colon has no credibility in my case. My complaints came first. I had no retaliatory motive. My complaints against the school were not for aggravated harassment. Detective Colon lied. I was pressing charges for fraud and for maintaining false business records and for federal student loan fraud. By the way, maintaining false business records is a crime in New York. Preventing, looks like we're almost out of time, so I'm going to say goodbye because my show ends at 7. We have just a few seconds left. If you'd like to send me an email, you can send us an email at CrookedDoctors@yahoo.com. And during our next show, I'm going to go right into how the Bronx District Attorney's Office lied to Congressman Weiner's office. And I want you to get the big picture here, which is the flow of information to gatekeepers and decision makers is being manipulated. It's very frightening. It was used to hurt me. And it looks like our show is over because it's 7 o'clock. So I'm probably out by now.